Time is now 5:30. The date is January the 28th, 2025. We will call to order the mayor and council meeting for the city of Statesboro. Tonight we have our invocation and pledge of allegiance. It reads Councilman John Riggs, but he is out ill. So we want to call on Councilmember Paulette Shavers to provide a word of prayer.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this gathering. We thank you for life, hope, and strength. We ask you to empower us with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding so that we can make the best decisions for the citizens of Statesboro. I ask for your protection to be upon the citizens of Statesboro and be with us as we travel to our various destinations. I thank you, and I give your name all the honor and praise. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move down to agenda item 3, recognitions and public presentations. Agenda item 3A is a presentation by Anna Chapin, President and CEO of RISE, which is the Regional Industry Support Enterprise, regarding regional workforce development.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank y'all for the opportunity to be here today to share with y'all about RISE. RISE is a relatively new regional workforce development and industry support organization. Our goal is to be the key facilitator of regional workforce development and industry support services within our 8-county region that we currently serve. And I'll tell you what those counties are in just a few minutes, but just to spoil for you a little bit, Bullitt County is one of our 8. So we're very thankful that Bullitt County is part of RISE. So in order to properly explain how RISE came to life, I want us to step back in time to the middle of 2022. This was shortly after Hyundai announced that they would be locating in Bryan County in our region, and now we know that they're going to be creating 8,500 jobs on site and investing almost $7.6 billion. That led to several other supplier announcements. 3 of those, I believe, are in Bullitt County, and we've got others that are scattered throughout the region. And so right after that announcement was made, a small group that included myself, and at the time I was in Bryan County at the Development Authority there, and I was joined by Benji Thompson from Bullitt County. I also had Trip Tollison from CEDA, the Savannah Economic Development Authority, and Brant Herndon from the Effingham County Industrial Development Authority. So the 4 counties that make up the JDA, I was in Bryan, Benji was in Bullitt, Trip was in Savannah at Chatham, and Brant was in Effingham. We brought in Audrey King from Georgia Power, we had Jay Neely from Gulfstream, and Stacy Watson from the Georgia Ports Authority. And we quickly realized the best thing we could do to understand the impacts of all the jobs that were coming to our area from Hyundai, the suppliers, and our existing industries that were growing, our manufacturing, distribution, and assembly companies, is we needed to conduct a study. So we hired Wadley Donovan and Gutschall Consulting, and the reason we chose them is they had done a couple of workforce assignments in our region. They had previously worked for me when I was at the Development Authority of Bryan County. They also worked for Stacy at the Georgia Ports Authority on a workforce assessment, and even 20 plus years ago worked for the Liberty County Development Authority. So we knew they were the right fit to understand what we needed from a workforce standpoint in our region. So we asked them to identify 2 things. 1, were labor supply challenges facing existing employers, and 2, initiatives that will minimize the exposure to existing and future labor supply shortfalls. And the study area you can see up on the screen, if you notice the star in the center of the graphic there, that is the Hyundai Meta Plan. And so the consultant studied a 1-hour commute from that point because they believed, and we agreed, for a good manufacturing job, people will drive up to about an hour. Well, you see the 4 JDA counties in black, Bryan, Bullitt, Chatham, and Effingham, and then everything inside that red boundary is that 1-hour commute. The scope of the study included 3 tasks. So one of the tasks was market analysis. This was desktop demographic information that included the current conditions at the time back in 2023, as well as 5-year projections. We also had them identify immediate needs and challenges, and this information was gleaned from a couple different ways. One was from a 93-question electronic survey that our existing industries completed. We had an above average response from our industries, which was awesome. We also had some deeper dives between the consultant and our existing industry execs, a select few that were chosen. And then finally, we had stakeholder meetings. So these were small group discussions between the consultant, county and municipal leaders, economic development authority officials, K-12 partners, higher ed partners, and staffing agencies. So we got great feedback that went into the identification of our immediate needs and challenges. And then finally, the key deliverable that we got was a strategic workforce plan. So it's a robust study. There's lots of great information. If anybody's interested, I can share the executive summary with them after the meeting. But I'm going to just hit on 5 key takeaways from the study for the purposes of today's meeting. So the first is competitive pay and enhancing employee retention have become increasingly important. And we all know that pay drives a lot of decisions for people about where they want to work. But it's not just about the compensation. It's also about the other things that employers can do to keep their talent. And some of the things that the consultant recommended included thinking about on-site amenities, whether these are cafes or gyms or maybe even on-site childcare. And also, when you onboard an employee, don't just talk about the job that you're hiring them for. Show them the career progression that they can have with the company. Show them where they can start, but where they can grow, not just in a job title change, but also in a compensation increase. Our next takeaway is future demand will vary annually, but top needs will continue to be technical and production roles. And you can see this indicated on the right-hand side of the screen. So these are our hiring demands through 2027. And this is what we call our top 10 list of most in-demand jobs. And you can see through 2027, we've got over 16,000 jobs in just these top 10 alone that we have to fill. Our next takeaway is workforce development initiatives must work to draw more high school graduates into industries, including manufacturing. And this is making sure we have a larger conversation about what our students' options are post-high school. I share the story that when I graduated from Glenn Academy back in 1996, I had one choice. My parents said, Anna, you're going to college, so I went to college. Same thing for my brother 2 years later. But my son, who's in 7th grade, I'm just trying to get him through high school, and I want him to know that he has choices. He can go to the military, he can pursue technical education through one of our technical colleges, he can go to a 4-year college and university, or he can go right to work. And just because he goes right to work doesn't mean that he's going to forgo post-secondary forever. His employer may one day pay for him to continue his education, which means my husband and I don't have to incur debt, which I like the idea of that. So want him to know he has options. And I want more of our parents to let their students know that there are options out there, because a lot of our careers in manufacturing, these are family-sustaining wages that can really support a family long-term. And so I think we need to have a broader conversation about what all the options are, to include going right to work. So our next takeaway was probably the biggest surprise for me. We know that we're blessed. We've got Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield right here in our backyard, and that's producing about 3,500 of what I call these heroes for hire annually. They're cross-trained, they're computer literate, and they have a great work ethic. I talked to one recent hero for hire at the break. And so we have these people that are living in our communities, and we need to do a better job of keeping them here when they separate. So while we've got 3,500 that are separating annually, we're only retaining about 40% of these people. So the other 60% are leaving our region, and we need to be more intentional about keeping them here. And it's not just about the service members, it's also about the spouses. If you think about it, the spouses follow their service members sometimes across the country or even across the world. They get to the last duty station, and it's the spouse's turn to consider employment. And so if the spouse can find a job, then that allows the family to put down some roots, and when the service member separates, hopefully they will stay. So definitely need to put more focus on keeping this talent here. And then the final takeaway is the Savannah region has a number of workforce strengths and several challenges. On the strength side, these are things that are pretty obvious, like the Port of Savannah continues to be one of the major drivers for industrial growth within our region. We also believe we've got a superior quality of life here. It is very rare that we get snow, but we got some last week. But when you compare us to the Midwest and the Northeast in particular, and you look at the winter months, they're dealing with that all the time, and we're not. So I think our quality of life and our weather is certainly attractive if we want to try to encourage people to move here from outside of our region. On the challenges side, I like to turn the conversation around and not so much focus on the challenges, but let's talk about the opportunities. And so housing was one of those areas that were identified by the consultant, and so there definitely needs to be more study given to that related to housing, because we know we've got some gaps within our housing inventory, specifically related to attainable housing. Childcare is another area of focus. We have some barriers there for people to pursue meaningful employment because they don't have access to reliable and affordable childcare. And then finally, transportation. That's also a barrier for some people to pursue meaningful employment. So before I leave this slide, I want to call your attention to the industrial projected supply-demand balance. So this is for our technical and production jobs within our region. And so this is the consultant's prediction. And if you'll call your attention to 2025 and you look at the underemployed one-time supply column, and then next to it at the supply balance, you'll notice we're going to fully exhaust the one-time supply of our underemployed this year. And the prediction is we're going to have close to negative 1,500 people. So that means we're going to have more jobs than we have people to fill these jobs. That trend is predicted to continue through 2031. And so when we got this data back in late 2023, we were alarmed. The good news is this prediction is if we do nothing. The better news is we did something. And so this information was released to the public in November of 2023. And in December, the next month, SEDA, the Savannah Economic Development Authority, announced that they would be funding RISE in year one. And so RISE came to life, and we started as a team of 4 last January. So these are the 8 counties that we serve. You can see we've got Bryan, Bullock, Candler, Chatham, Effingham, Evans, Liberty, and Screven counties. So those are our 8 counties that we are currently serving. They are supporting our 501c6, which is our operating entity that we are in the process of standing up. So the development authorities are contributing in each of these 8 counties to support RISE, and in return for their contribution, they have board seats on our 501c6 board. And so in Bullock County, y'all are represented by Dr. Kyle Marrero at Georgia Southern University and Paul Roselle at the SAC Company. So you're very well represented here in Bullock County. So I'll quickly run through our Workforce Development Plan working groups, and these were identified per the study. The first is military, and this is for obvious reasons. I mentioned earlier how underutilized this resource is, and so we want to do a better job of keeping this talent pipeline here. Underrepresented, this includes everybody from second chance hires, and when I say second chance hires, I mean people that were justice impacted or were previously homeless or unhoused, or maybe have overcome addiction. So we've got second chance hires, minority groups, people with different abilities, senior citizens, opportunity youth. They all make up this underrepresented talent pipeline, which is also very much underutilized. So we want to do a better job of making connections between these folks and our employers within industry. Housing, it was identified as one of our challenges in the study. The good news is that Georgia Tech has a housing study that is currently underway that Bullock County is a part of. So hopefully we will see some information in the near future that can help advise the local governments on some suggestions about moving forward with housing specifically related to attainable housing. Education is a place where we're spending a lot of our time. K-12 and higher ed. We've had so much interest in the education working group, we've now split it into 2 subgroups, and lots of great energy in the education space. Transportation, right now we're looking at putting together a demand survey to better understand what the existing employees' needs may be for regional transportation service. Childcare, this is a new working group that was added late last year. We're finding it's a twofold problem related to childcare. The first part of this is we've got parts of our region where we have childcare deserts. These are places where we just don't have facilities. And in other parts of the region, we do have facilities, but oftentimes we see them not operating at 100% because they don't have the personnel. Good news is we're partnering with Georgia Southern on a child care study that is being funded by Norfolk Southern. So we hope to have some great data to help inform solutions in the child care space in the near future. And then finally, marketing. And this is marketing to our homegrown talent, our our job seekers and our students first of all, and then after that, we want to look to market our region outside of Georgia to encourage people to move here and help take some of these career opportunities that we have available. So I know that I talked fast, but I know y'all have a lot of business to take care of today, and I just want to say thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to be here today to share.
Thank you so much for coming to share. We'll move down to agenda item 3B, which is recognition of the inaugural cohort of the Emerging Leaders Academy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And I believe that the city of Statesboro is prepared for the future because we hire and grow great leaders. In 2024, we built and implemented our inaugural Emerging Leaders Academy, and I'm here this evening to present some of them. All of them weren't able to make it, but I'm presenting some of them to you. So our first session started in August, and we wrapped up our 6th session this month in January. We focused on topics such as building a team culture, performance management fundamentals, ethics and compliance, as well as individual development plans. We believe that we must be intentional in how we grow and develop our leaders in our organization. We had 17 employees complete the first cohort, and we look forward to rolling out the second cohort in the upcoming months. I would like to first thank you for giving us the fiscal resources to grow our people, and at this time, I would like to recognize those that are a part of the first cohort. And I'll just ask them to stand, and then they'll come up and we'll take a picture of them, if you will.
Okay.
I have Jared Akins, Captain with the Police Department.
All right.
Matt Acock, Assistant Director, Public Utilities. Nick Boggs, Assistant Natural Gas Superintendent, Public Utilities. Krista Cooper, Customer Service Supervisor, Finance. Tim Grams, Fire Chief, Fire Department. Glenn Green, Water and Sewer Superintendent, Public Utilities. Robbie Jordan, Chief Building Official, Planning and Development. Richard Marshall, Parks Supervisor, Public Works and Engineering. Marty McLean, IT Manager, Central Services. David Moyer, Assistant City Engineer, Public Works and Engineering. Darrell Perkins, Wastewater Superintendent, Public Utilities. Spencer Rowe, Captain, Fire Department. Andrew Samples, Captain, Police Department. Richard Smiley, Streets and Parks Superintendent, Public Works and Engineering. Justin Taylor, Fire Prevention Officer, Fire Department. Marcos Trejo, Assistant Director, Public Works and Engineering. And Justin Williams, Planning and Housing Administrator in Planning and Development. If we can, give them a hand as they
Wow, they move the whole time.
All that short will be good.
Let's take like 3 steps back. Graduation the other day, so we got a great photo.
Something's like an ugly this side of it.
One, two, three. Flash didn't go off. 1, 2, 3. Alright, that's it, thank you.
All right, good, congratulations.
Thank you. Alright. We'll move down to agenda item 4, public comments. Any public comments, Lee?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll move down to agenda item 5, consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda. Consent agenda includes approval of our minutes from our January 7th council minutes, as well as the consideration of a motion to approve the surplus and disposition of the 1996 E1 aerial apparatus in Statesboro Fire Department. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move on to agenda item 6, which is a public hearing, consideration of a motion to approve application RZ 24-11-01. Luis Gonzalez requests a zoning map amendment from the R15 one household residential zoning district to the R3 medium density multi-household residential zoning district in order to develop additional units on a 0.87 acre property located at 509 East Main Street. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
All right, is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Kathy, if you'll give us some insight.
Yes, certainly. Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the council. This was a deferred item, if you remember, from the last meeting at the corner of East Main Street and Ramble Road. Currently, the property consists of an existing home located at 509 East Main Street. The applicant intends to retain the existing house and develop additional multifamily units on the lot beyond what would normally be allowed in the current zoning district. And if you can look, the parcel is outlined in red. It's at the corner of East Main and Ramble Road. It is in an established residential neighborhood. The zoning is R15. And the subject property is shown on the bottom, on the top left, and the property to the east on the bottom right. The property to the west is shown on the top left, and the property to the south on the bottom right. We did meet with the owner and developer of this site, and we did come up with a compromise plan, which is showing 2 units on the, I guess that's the north side, and they would also like to rehab the existing home. We do recommend denial of RZ 24-11-01 due to a lack of compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. If this petition is approved by the mayor and city council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of the zoning map amendment does not grant the right to develop on the property. All construction must be reviewed and approved by the city. 2, cottage courts shall not be an allowed use on this property due to the potential increase in traffic generation and necessary detention. 3, there must be sufficient buffering on all sides of the site to allow for an increase in screening for the property. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on December 3rd, 2024, the Commission recommended denial of the request upon a 6-0 vote. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council on December 7th, the Council voted for deferment of this request. In addition, we also, and I'm not sure if this neighbor is here, but we did receive a letter directed to Councilwoman Johnson from Dorothy Jones with her husband Downsey, saying that they are residents of District 1 here in Statesboro, and they oppose this application due to the following. 1, increased traffic. 2, decreased property value. 3, lack of neighborhood support. 4, affordable housing. And 5, the Planning Commission decision, which I mentioned to you, was to uphold our recommended denial. So that is my presentation. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone here to speak for this request?
Yes, there is. Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. Thank you for hearing us. I'm Frank DiArcangelo, architect here in Statesboro, and Luis Gonzalez, property owner.
I'm Luis Gonzalez.
Just tell-
Okay. So I bought the house 4 years ago, and we're in the process of remodeling it. And I had the idea, since the house is on half of the property, of putting a duplex on the other half to increase the housing in Statesboro. So it was just an idea that I had, and this is the process that we had to go through. So
At the planning and zoning meeting that Kathy, where they recommended denial, we had two separate buildings shown. One was a duplex with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms each side, and the other building was a 4 bedrooms and 4 bath building on the south side of the property. After denial, we redeveloped the site plan to show only the 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom duplex, total of 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms on the site, which I think fits pretty well with the with the zoning that is there. We're showing, I think 6 parking spaces are required, and we're showing a total of 10. We would consider pervious pavement, so we wouldn't increase the non-pervious area of the site. And there's plenty of room to abide by the tree coverage ordinance on the site. It basically to improve the quality of the property and to create, and it just was up here talking about housing and the need for housing in the Statesboro area. And that's the reason for the request, adding a couple units to the housing stock.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak for the request? All right, is there anyone here to speak against the request? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's open it up for council discussion. Any discussion by council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So my thinking last time was, why not get a duplex in there? Because the lot is oversized, so we deferred it so we could talk about and see if they're willing to do that. But my concern now is, I'm realizing it's not, they're wanting a rezone or a variance. Because a variance, we could limit to them to just the one duplex. But if we rezone, they could later add more. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, the request is to go from R15 to R3, which could be multifamily, and would allow that plan to happen.
The original plan that I was concerned about.
Right.
Okay, so at this point in the process, is it even possible, if they were willing, that they could change from the rezone to a variance request? Because a variance request could be for just this specific addition, is that right?
Yes, you're right. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I think I didn't understand clearly enough last month when I said, let's see if they'll do it slower. If we want to limit it to just adding one duplex and not putting all of the apartments, then we don't want to approve it like it is. But staff tell me, could they still defer and come back and ask for a variance instead of a rezone? So they could put up this, but they wouldn't be able to put up anything else.
Well, there's a 6-month limit in terms of
Is it not?
a site request, of an application. So that they wouldn't be able to come back for 6 months.
Okay. So if a deferral, they were able to come back in a month because we deferred, but we couldn't defer again and then change it, or is it too much difference?
Have to be a new process and application. for
Be a new process, but it would still have to wait 6 months to make the appointment.
Unless they withdrew. They could still withdraw it.
Okay, so like, So if we're saying we're not going, I'm talking, what I'm thinking is gonna happen, but if we're not willing to approve the rezone, but if you, as the owner, withdraw the request, they could come back next month and request a variance instead of having to wait the 6 months?
They just have to start the process with a new application.
Okay, they could start with a new one, it wouldn't take them as long.
Correct.
Okay, does that make sense to the owner and to the architect? Okay. So I guess if y'all want to rezone, you're not gonna get approved. I guess.
Councilwoman, you get into the area of making a suggestion from the deities. You might not want to do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my statement is I'm not gonna be willing to approve it as it is.
All right, so we want to hear from any other council member before asking for a vote.
I don't think the duplex is a bad thing, the way that they redid it. I think that it's more suitable for the area. I know it's not an area that has this. I do think that this is a good middle ground, but I also feel that, changing the complete zoning might, in the future, cause more of these to be built. So my opinion is not to offer any advice here, but I don't have a problem with this. It's just, what everybody decides to do, that's gonna build it.
My thought process is as well, I'm not looking for multiple duplexes in that area. This is a single established neighborhood, like a single family home. I think it's proceeding how it is, especially with the influx of traffic and everything in that area. I do not feel like this rezoning would be appropriate for this, so I would stand for it.
Councilwoman Chambers?
I concur with everyone else, like the rezoning portion is what's hanging me up, because if we rezone it, then several little duplexes can pop up over here, and that's a residential area for single family homes, so I'm just kind of, it's the rezoning piece for me.
Okay. All right, is there a motion from council?
So instruct me on procedure, please, Mr. Mayor.
What's before us is the rezoning. So I'm asking council, is there a motion to approve or to deny?
I have a motion for denial. Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor, is there a second?
I second.
All right, I've seen it, there's a second. All those in favor of the denial? All right, any opposed? Okay. All right, let it show that agenda item 6 was denied. We're moving on to agenda item 7, which is a public hearing. Consideration of a motion to approve application 52412-01 Peak Point Properties LLC requests a variance from table 2.2.9-B to remove the 10-foot maximum foot yard setback on a 5.51 acre property located at Stanbrook Lane. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, Kathy, if you will.
Yes. Currently, the property consists of a vacant parcel located on Stanbrook Lane. This parcel is designated for the development of a hotel with a potential future restaurant on the property on the southern border, or it came out the other day that it could be an office building. The associated plan requests a variance on the maximum setback requirement to allow the property sufficient setback for parking and the future development, which would be subdivided from the main property at a later date. The request reflects an amendment item in the upcoming UDC amendments, which we all discussed and reviewed earlier today during the work session. So here is the site. It's undeveloped at the moment. The connection apartments are immediately to the south, and to the northeast, you see the garden apartments. The area, the future land use map shows this area to be an activity center / regional center. And the zoning is mixed use. The Subject property, as I mentioned, is undeveloped, and it is shown on the top left. Property to the bottom right is the property to the west. The property to the east is shown on the top left, and the property to the south on the bottom right. And essentially, here is the plan. It shows the hotel, and the request is to have a setback that is more than 10 feet on the hotel. And the idea is that they will eventually develop the property to the south for a restaurant or office building, depending on the market. Staff does recommend approval of V 24-12-01. If this petition is approved by the mayor and city council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of this variance does not grant the right to begin construction. All construction must be reviewed and approved by the city. 2, all ingress and egress for the property must utilize GDOT metrics to ensure appropriate site distance on the property. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on January 7, 2025, the Commission recommended approval of the request and staff conditions upon a 7-0 vote. That is my presentation.
All right, thank you, Ms. Davis. All right, is there anyone here to speak for this request? All right, is there anyone here to speak against this request? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing? Is there a second? All those in favor?
No.
All right, let's open it up for council discussion. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve the staff conditions? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, let's go to agenda item 7 is passed. We'll move down to agenda item 8. Public hearing and consideration of a motion to approve application RZ 24-12-02. Black Creek Investments LLC requests a zoning map amendment from the R6 one household residential to the R3 medium density multi-household residential zoning district on 0.28 acres of property in order to develop the multi-household units with 4 buildings on a property located in 111 West Inman Street. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor? All right, Ms. Kathy, if you will, please give us some insight.
Yes, thank you. Currently, the property is a vacant residential home located on West Inman Street. The applicant seeks to develop a group of duplexes on the property with additional units on the adjacent property. As the plan shows, the parcels will be recombined to allow for a larger development area with 113 West Inman Street, which already has the appropriate zoning in place. This property is not only located in the redevelopment area of the comprehensive plan, but falls into the urban redevelopment area as determined by the adoption of the 2024 Urban Redevelopment Plan. And you can see the parcel outlined in red. The parcel directly to the east is also included, and they are going to be combined. So the intent is to combine both of those lots. The area is shown to be in the future redevelopment area of the future land use map. The zoning shows it to be currently mixed use, but with a combination of your approval tonight, it will turn it into an R3 and then they'll be combined with the lot next door, which is also R3. The subject property is shown with the tree, unfortunately, fallen on it on the top left. Property to the east, which is on the property next door, is on the bottom right. Property to the west is shown on the top left, and the property to the south on the bottom right. Now, this really is a very different, even though this is a single-family home area, there's a lot of mixed zoning that's going on in here, and we really felt that because this would enhance the investment and redevelopment of this area, And it does include 16 units, but we felt that this was a totally different case from the other that we just voted, the East Main and Ramble Road project. Because of the fact that it is stimulating investment in this area, which is really desperately needed, we feel. So we do recommend approval of RZ 24-12-02. If this petition is approved by the Marion City Council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of this zoning map amendment does not grant the right to develop on the property. All construction must be reviewed and approved by the city. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on January 7, 2025, the Commission recommended approval of the request and staff conditions upon a 7-0 vote. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Is there anyone here to speak for this request?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Jay Daniels with Maxwell Reddick and Associates. I'll be the civil engineer on this project, representing Black Creek Development and the owner, Mr. Eric Davis. As it was stated earlier, the project proposes the development of 4 quadplex multifamily residential buildings with parking and required infrastructure. The owner has currently purchased both parcels, 111 and 113 West Emmons Street. 113 West Emmons Street is already zoned R3, but 111 West Emmons Street is currently zoned R6 and will need to be rezoned to R3. We ask that this property be rezoned accordingly to allow the combination of the parcels and the development of the quadplexes. I'll be happy to answer any technical questions that you may have.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak against this request? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor? All right, let's open it up for council discussion. Any discussion by council?
So this is already zoned for mixed use, right?
Yeah, one side of
So
this.
I'm a little confused as to what's going on. So one side is zoned for R3 and the other side is zoned for R6?
That's correct. And what we're proposing is,
The zoning on the west side is very different than the rest of the city. If you drive through the west side, you can look and see where you got homes and businesses like right next to each other. And so it's different, so we're trying to fix it. Yeah. So that's how you can have a lot, R6, and then right next to it is R3.
So, Mr. Mayor, this property, both lots back up to the EMS. If that helps you place it in where it is.
Yeah, I think she knows where, I didn't even know where it is.
Yeah, I know. And there's some similar projects like this on Emmons Street in the area already that are doing well, and I feel like being downtown, pretty much it'll go well here.
Anything further from council? All right. Is there a motion to approve staff conditions?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down, let's show that agenda item 8 is passed. We move down to agenda item 9, which is a public hearing and consideration of a motion to approve an application for an alcohol license in accordance with the City of Statesboro Alcohol Ordinance Section 6-13A. With Alliance 2024 Incorporated, Sander Kumar Patel, 17412 US Highway 301 North. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, is there anyone here to speak for or against this request? Seeing that there's none, is the motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, okay, I just want to make sure we're good across the board with legal, fire, and police.
No issues, Mayor.
All right, is there, any discussion from council? No. Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, let us show that agenda item 9 is passed. Move down to agenda item 10. This is a public hearing consideration of a motion to approve application for alcohol license in accordance with the city of Statesboro Alcohol Ordinance, section 6-13A. We have 10A, 10B, and 10C. 10A is Antoinette Cafe Kitchen. 10B is Hughes of Statesboro, and 10C is Happy Walk Asian Buffet. Is there a motion to open the hearing on all three items?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there anyone here to speak for this request? All right, is there anyone here to speak against this request? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're gonna open it up for council discussion on all three. Is there any further discussion on those three items? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve 10A, 10B, 10C?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let it show that agenda item 10A, B, and C has passed. We'll move back to agenda item 11. Hearing to consider a motion to revoke massage parlor. Item 11 has been moved to February the 4th.
That's right, Mayor.
Okay. So we want to make sure that the public is aware that this item will not be on this agenda. So that means we will go to agenda item 12. Consideration of a motion to approve resolution. And let me back up to 11 just to give public the idea of what's going on. Due to the snow last week, we had to cancel our meeting. This particular item requires a 10-day public notice, and so this date fell within that time frame. So it has to be tabled until that February 4th meeting. And so let us go to agenda item 12, which is consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2025-03, a resolution to adopt the third amendment of the City of Statesboro Schedule of Rates, Fees, and Fines of fiscal year 2025. Jason, do you want to give us any insight on that?
Yes, sir. This recommendation will bring in line the fines set forth in our schedule of rates, fees, and fines from $745 to $1,000 to be in compliance with current state law.
Thank you, Jason. Any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to highlight the fact that the state is requiring it, but what we're doing is saying that anybody who passes a school bus and is charged that they're guilty of that, the fine is increased from $745 to $1,000. And of course, we all want to be safe and take care of our school children and school buses.
Thank you. Anything else from the council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve agenda item 12?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 13, consideration of a motion to approve a lease agreement to provide office space for Representative Rick Allen for an additional 2 years with no rent assessed. I think that's pretty much to the point. All right, any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 14, recognizing agenda item 13 has passed. With agenda item 14 is consideration of a motion to approve a contract with Goodwin Mills, K Wood GMC in the amount of $60,000 to perform a fire service study for the fire department. This work will be paid from the Statesboro Fire Service Fund operating budget. Jason, if you would.
Yes, sir. As noted in the work session earlier and in budget presentations this past fiscal year, City of Statesboro City Manager recommends that Mayor and Council consider looking at a fire service fee as a sustainable revenue source for our Statesboro Fire Service Fund.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've solicited RFQs for consultants to be able to perform that study. And from that process, we recommended Goodwood Mills Cablewood to perform that. They have demonstrated that they have successfully implemented fire service fees and performed studies of this nature. So we are very confident they're capable of doing that. And members of their team are also, we're also part of the team that was selected to perform studies, and which ultimately led to the implementation of the stormwater utility for the city of Statesboro. So they're very competent, very capable, very knowledgeable of fire service operations, structures and processes, fire service revenues, and very capable of being able to perform this study of our fire department and be able to provide recommendation to you all to consider how we move forward with funding the Statesboro Fire Department. This work would take about 5 to 6 months to complete.
Okay, thank you, Jason. We're gonna open it up for council discussion. You know, we reviewed this in the work session. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda 15, recognizing 14 is passed. 15 states there's a consideration of a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with Habitat for Humanity and Agape Worship Center regarding the residential development of real property in the Johnson Street area. Jason, if you will.
Yes, sir. So as you all are familiar, we've been unsuccessful in recent years. We're applying for CHIP grants for new housing in the city of Statesboro, particularly in the Johnson Street area, which is the urban redevelopment area that was identified by our GIC housing team, and where we've been placing a lot of our focus on recently. And so our staff has been very diligent in looking at alternatives and how we can bolster a new application, and had some good fruitful conversation with Habitat and with Agape, who own some properties in the area, and are looking to partner with the city of Statesboro to be able to help provide a successful CHIP grant application. So we recommend this MOU for Mayor Council.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jason. Any discussion by council?
Sounds like a good partnership.
Yeah. All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's show that agenda item 15 has passed. We'll move down to agenda item 16, which is consideration of motion to approve a purchase agreement with Marilyn Avilia and Brenda W. Meeks in the amount of $698,340 for the purchase of 37.73 acres of land at 431 Lakeview Road for the inner landfill. The project will be paid from solid waste disposal fund operating income in 2019 SPLOST funds. Jason, is there anything you can add to that?
Yes, sir. I'll give you a little background on this. So staff and our Public Works Engineering Department has been working with our engineer of record in determining future plans for the inner landfill, which is not municipal solid waste. We have a transfer station that removes all that. This is just yard debris, basically, all the vegetative material that's permitted by EPD on our property that the city and county jointly own. And so our engineer of record has been studying the intake rate that we have for the inner landfill, and has advised that we probably have about 5 to 7 years of capacity left. So they've been working diligently with us to try to help determine alternatives to sustaining the inner landfill. We looked at various scenarios and ultimately settled on the recommendation to expand where we are. Fortunately, we have property that is adjacent to us that is undeveloped, and so we've reached out to the property owners to determine if they would be amenable to selling some of that property. Our engineers for the project have determined that the acreage 38.73 that is identified here is suitable for expansion, which would give us approximately 20 years of life on that inner landfill, and is the best option that we should consider. An appraisal was performed on this property, and which is where the amount of $698,340 comes from for the purchase of this property. So we recommend this to you all.
Thank you, Jason. Is there any discussion by council? I know that we've been briefed on this. Okay. All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? I'm assuming that's everybody. You tried that already? I know it's been a long day. All right, we move down to agenda item 17, recognizing the 16 is passed. Consideration of a motion to approve an award to purchase a 15-passenger SWAT van to LVD Custom Specialty Vehicles, who submitted the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $146,255. If approved, this purchase will be funded by the 2019 SPLOST. Jason, anything to add to that?
I don't have anything else to add. I recommend approval.
Okay, council, any discussion? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, we'll go down to agenda item 18, consideration of a motion to award the purchase of a 2025 Ford F-250 4x4 crew cab for the Parks Division to J.C. Lewis Ford in the amount of $50,252. If awarded, this purchase will be funded out of the GMA lease pool. Jason, anything you add to that?
I don't, Mayor, we recommend approval.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, any discussion by council? Seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, we're going to agenda item 9, recognizing 18 is passed. Other business from the city council, is there any other business?
I guess, are we gonna ask Dr. Mitchell to tell us about the village builders this Saturday?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We will be hosting a free community workshop on this Saturday from 10 to 2. It's for our teens and also our adults in the community. There are amazing different topics and subjectives that range from finance and budgeting to cultivating family environments. Also, 2020, we're right here at the crest of 2025, so some goal settings. So it's going to be an amazing event. So we encourage everyone to come out and take advantage of these resources.
Where?
It will be here downtown. We will be right next door at the GSU Business and Innovation Group.
Do people come here to register and then get a sign, or how does that work?
We'll have a sign out front to direct everyone because people sometimes get lost. So we'll have a sign right out front at City Hall that shows them how to navigate, how to get from City Hall to the Business and Innovation Group.
And is tomorrow for the children too, or it's mainly focused on the adults?
It's mainly focused on the adults, but we will have something for adults that have to bring their children to do. So, yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else from council?
I guess we want to shout out to all of our public safety folks who kept us safe through the storm. And gratitude that we didn't have widespread power outages and all like we feared. And hope everybody enjoyed the snow. And I hope we don't get another one for 20 years.
Yeah, good. Absolutely. All right, anything else from council? All right. Seeing that there's none, we'll go over to city manager comments. Any comments from city manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, and I appreciate your understanding of why I have to be away from it. This evening, I just wanted to mention two things. On Thursday, January 30th, the mayor, Ms. Barr, and several staff members, we will be meeting with the county to discuss the fire district. As you are all aware, the county voted in December to cancel the 5-year agreement. We're at the end of that 5-year agreement. And so they wanted to meet to discuss the agreement, so we will meet with them at 10:30 on January 30th to hear what their issues or concerns are. And so we look forward to hearing their thoughts. The other thing I just wanted to mention to you, in your FYI packet, I have some save the dates. One of them was last weekend with GMA, which was, I think, a very good meeting and some good training. But we also want to mention to you that the Mayor's State of the City address is on February the 25th at 7 o'clock at in the Emma Keller Theater. So we need everybody to mark their calendars to be present for that. And then on March 3rd, and I'm saying the 13th, March 13th through the 15th is our City Council retreat. We're at the Augusta Marriott at the Convention Center. And We say the 13th because we travel up on the 13th. We go a full day on the 14th and half a day on that Saturday, the 15th. And with that, Mayor, that's all that I have this evening. But I do want to echo as far as appreciation to our staff. This business with snow is an unusual occurrence in South Georgia. And it's a learning experience for all of our folks. And so I shared this with the mayor. Some people might have been a little upset that we didn't have snow plows. We didn't have salt brine that we would pre-treat the roads with. But if you only pull those things out once every 8 years, it would be a waste of money and investing in that. So then they question our rationale for doing that. But overall, I think God did a good job. He put it down, and then he took it away. And so we appreciate everybody's understanding when we ask them to stay off the roads. And our staff did a great job of working through it. And I also want to appreciate Bullock County. Corey Kemp is doing, I think, an outstanding job for the county and also with Randy Tillman. But we had the opportunity to work with the new chairman and get to meet Mr. Davis and Mr. Newkirk at the Emergency Operations Center, and our mayor was there and give updates. And so we've always had that type of relationship, but it's a learning experience for them. But we were right there with them throughout the whole event. And I would have to tell you, I agonized over closing City Hall, but it was easy to come to that decision when I recognized we didn't have equipment to treat the roads. And so we only closed for one day, and then we delayed opening for 2 days in a row. But overall, I think our staff did an outstanding job, and I appreciate all the good work they did. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. King. All right, we want to move down to public comments. For public comments, we have Lynn Fatiga in regards to VOAD.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, actually from coming way up north. I kind of enjoyed driving around here in the snow again, kept my skills a little bit sharp. But anyways, I just want to give a shout out, especially to the Statesboro Police Department. As you all know, we had to open a warming center, shelter at Pittman Park, and we did so for 4 days before we moved it up to Statesboro Mission Church. Between the city, Georgia Southern University Police Department, and the sheriff, we made sure that there was almost 24-hour-a-day people stopping in. And for those that don't know, is that unfortunately we had one instance that thankfully the police department found the individual who was underneath a tarp with 4 inches of snow on top of him. In firm belief that the only thing that saved that gentleman's life, because he was an elderly gentleman, was that snow insulation. They got him into the shelter very quickly, and then we had medical people look at him. But big shout out to the Statesboro Police Department, Chief Broadhead and his team. So thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. All right. Any other public comments? All right, seeing that there is none, Jason, is there a need for executive session?
Sir, real estate.
Real estate, okay. All right, so we move down to agenda item 22, which is consideration of a motion to enter into executive session to discuss real estate. All right, this is in accordance with OCGA 50-14-13B. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Chief?